Hello there, welcome to I Am Redeemed. My name is Selma and today's topic is about how God is our rock. There's so many scriptures that refers back to that one verse on Psalms 18:2. And I just want to share a little bit about how his protection is always there, as well as his presence and his promises. I mean, if you even go and dig into the Bible and like in the Bible about his protection, it's just endless. We can be here all day, and just by the Bible alone, and then people's testimonies, of course, right? So, what stood out to me for this week was how we was once so lost, and then now we are found. To I died with him, but as well was born with him. That is just so powerful. Go ahead, babe. So we're gonna go into Psalms 18:2. I'm sure you have heard or you're familiar with this verse where it talks about how he's our rock, right? The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my savior. My God is my rock, in whom I find protection. He is my shield, the power that saves me, and my place of safety. I call on the Lord, who is worthy of praise, and he saved me from my enemies. Sometimes we can be our own enemy. Sometimes when we ask, or when we just want something certain way, and it's just like, I am protecting you, my child, from harming yourself. I'm gonna break your plans so you won't break your future. Like, you know what I'm saying? He talks about how the darkness side is, and I mean, you are more than welcome to read the whole chapter. He talks about enemies and how we get in this stress. How he rescued us all the time from the enemy, from his wicked plans. The least we can do is stay in track with him and turn away from evil, for him to even protect us from ourselves. I mentioned this before, where I told you guys that when I see myself slipping, I'm like, Lord, protect me from myself. Because sometimes, most of the time, to be honest, I don't even know what I'm doing. I need his guidance. He did not leave our Holy Spirit for, no reason. When was the last time you had peace that makes no sense? That no matter what, to the smallest to the biggest problem, your peace remains intact. It's not the world or from you, but in Jesus alone. I feel like once you apply that and get reminded of that when you are at your lowest, I know those days. You are at your lowest and you just like, it doesn't make sense. And it's almost like our brain is just wants it to make sense for us to have a reason to cry, a reason to let go, a reason to forgive, a reason. We want reasons all the time. Like why, what, when. And it's like sometimes we don't have to know it all. We just don't. It's so hard to trust to the unknown. It's hard, especially if you had trust issues before. If somebody always broke the promises, if you got hurt so many times, and you even end up hurting yourself by, giving into the flesh and a certain sin that you struggle so much every single day, you are not alone, and he's protecting you, even though you don't feel like he is. Even if you feel like he's far away, he's right there with you. Like, I saw something this morning that kind of blew my mind, because it really touched my heart, where I'm like, that's how I felt every time he came to rescue me and comfort me when I was not okay. When nobody asked if I was okay, but he did. He knew exactly what I was crying for and why I was like in so much pain. Everything seemed to be going wrong. Like he knows. You don't need anybody else to know, or almost like tell people everything about you, all your business, for the enemy to hear, for you to feel understood. He understands. He understands. Like I was saying, back to the quote that I heard this morning and saw, was like, the quote said something about how Jesus walks with you, right? But in your toughest battles, he ends up the one carrying you. that's a form of protection. And that protection does not look like how we want it to look. Protection can be very painful. It can be something that we don't want or throw a tantrum. And it takes time to understand what he is trying to do. And at the same time, you don't need to explain himself either. If you ask, it's something you gotta go back to what you asked in prayer. You know? So, okay, I'm getting out of the subject again. Maybe everything seems to be going wrong. Maybe the enemy keeps attacking, or just maybe you're focused on the wrong path and your flesh keeps failing. So I want to go on the same verse on Psalms 18, 32-36. And like I said, I feel like you should study that chapter today after you're done watching this video, because it's just so powerful. It just makes you feel like, it does not make you feel like, it's just, that's his promise. But we choose always to believe the flesh, the enemy's lies, even our own lies. He has showed us many, many times how he took us out from the pit. And yet it's almost like we want to crawl back to the pit, because we just are so used to the darkness that when he blesses you in many ways, either you forget or you get comfortable with it. That when something happens, it's almost like your faith gets shaken, and it's a perfect time for him to test your faith. How much faith you have in him, in your relationship, and how you want to keep going when everything seems to be going wrong. Okay, so back to 30-36. It says, God's way is perfect. All the Lord's promises prove true. He is a shield for all who look for him for protection. For who is God except the Lord? Who but our God is a solid rock? God arms me with strength, and he makes my way perfect. He makes me as a surf-footed as a deer, enabling me to stand on mountain heights. He trains my hands for battle. He strains my arm to draw a bronze bow. You have given me your shield of victory. Your right hand supports me. Your help has made me great. You have made a wide path for my feet to keep them from slipping. And then you can go even more into verses that align with that, because in one verse it says that he is the lamp for our feet, something like that. I'll put it up here. It hurts. You see how he says that he is your solid rock? That when it comes to a rock itself, it is so tough. It is so tough. It hurts if you get hit by it. It's like the lady that was stoned when she was caught, you know. I put the verse here too. I'm just gonna do it like a little brief touch it briefly, where Jesus says, if you have never sinned, go ahead and cast the first stone. Throw the first stone. And nobody did it, because he could have done it, guys. He could have just thrown, Jesus could have thrown that stone. He was perfect. But instead, he humbled himself. He got on his knee and said, you know, I'll just put it here, but I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to get to. He could have thrown the stone. He could have judged her. He could have done everything, because, I mean, he was God. You know, Jesus is God. So the fact that he didn't do that, that is a huge example, because when we having a hard time, that's how even bullying starts. We having a hard time with our lives, with our own selves, that we start to judge others, start making feel others less than. That's not what Jesus did. And it's like, who are you to throw a rock when you are standing on one? Oof, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Who are we to throw that rock when we are standing on one? When he's protecting us, when we should protect others by doing the same thing. Practice the fruit of the Spirit, love, kindness, gentleness, and you know, so on. It's like, who are we to throw that stone? Like we are just this perfect, picture perfect person that I'm doing better than you, and we should be there for one another. God did not create us to be alone. He created us to be together with some, like, grow together as a community, as in pray over each other, as a church, as because when you are at your lowest, He works great in your weakness. Okay, so now I'm sure you have read Psalms 91, so I'm gonna touch on that a little bit. 2. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety, and He is my God, and I trust Him. For He will rescue you from every trap and protect you from daily disease. He will shelter you with His wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. Now you can go in, I think it's it's Ephesians, where he talks about the armor of God. That should be your homework. No, but okay, so as you saw here in 91:4, he talks about He will cover you with His feathers. He will shelter you with His wings. His faithful promises are your armor of protection. His promises are over, you already. He's never going to fail. He is faithful. Nobody's worth it like He is. So he talked about the armor, right? Promises are your armor. The armor of God, if you go to Ephesians 6:10, it talks about be strong in the Lord and His mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. Which means if you are prayed up, if you are His promises, His word, what He says about you, how He's going to protect you, how He's going to lead you, how He's going to have this perfect plans for you, but not to destroy you. But you know what I'm saying? Like, all these promises, the more you read the word, the more you know His promises, you will have that in your head. So every time there's something comes against you, you're just like, no, hold on. I put on my full armor of God. We should start our day by putting the full armor of God, because we're going to fight against the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm never sleeps. So His protection starts by knowing His promises. Trust. That's how you build a relationship with someone. That's how you should build a relationship with Him. He knows everything about you, but how much do you know about Him? So yes, like, today's message is just like, who are you to throw rocks at someone when you are standing on one? And why can you accept His protection? We put up everything above all His promises. Whatever is going on, and trust me, it is so hard. I get it. People, it's amazing to see motivational videos when it comes to being a Christian, but the reality is that it's painful. It's so painful because He is rebuilding us. He's molding us where we were meant to be in the first place. He, and He says His work is not gonna be done with you until He comes back. Therefore, everybody's in a season. We are all struggling in certain ways, and the fact that we get to find joy and peace in Him and trust Him in the process, regardless of what's going on around us, regardless of, that's how you are loyal to Him. Because despite everything going wrong, or on how many things you see wrong coming at you, and how your doubt wants to come in, you speak those promises over you. You put the full armor of God. You do not throw them stones. And His protection. He is protecting you. It can be from you, it can be from your family member, it can be from just destruction itself, temptation, everything. He is protecting you. But what are you doing to run from danger? From running of the sins that can hold you. but you have to put your part too. You have to run, flee from sin. It's not pretty, and it's just gonna last 2 seconds of happiness, but then the guilt and the regret's gonna come in, and it's just like eventually you discipline yourself enough, and he gives you that discipline where you can sustain that, and you build your character, and you become stronger in him. So now I want to invite you to read Proverbs 18:10. One of my faves for sure. I love Proverbs. You should comment down below which are your favorite books of the Bible. For sure, mine is Ephesians. I absolutely love Ephesians. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Proverbs. I got sidetracked. We're almost done. Just hang in there, hang in there. The name of the Lord is a strong fortress. The godly run to him and are safe. It's like, you're probably like, Selma, yes, I have read those. I have seen those scriptures, those Bible quotes on Instagram. I have seen it. I hear it all the time. But why can't I feel it? Because you don't give up on what you're holding to receive that word. It took me a long time to realize that, okay? It really did, because I'm like, I hear it all the time. But it's like, you're not accepting the word because you are still holding on to what's weighing you down. For you to doubt, to have that tiny doubt. But if you just let go and receive the word, like he did say, he's my refuge. He said I'm not alone. He said he's not going to forsake me. He said he is my strength. If you speak that over you, all that stuff that you're holding on, it is gonna keep falling, because that's not meant for you to be carried with you. Now, hold on. Last one. We're gonna go to Timothy. I think it's 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy. Let me see. Let me check. It's actually 2 Timothy 2:19. But God's truth stands firm like a foundation stone with this. The Lord knows those who are his, and all who belong to the Lord must turn away from evil. The more you stay away from evil, because you cling to his word, you cling to his promises, the less sin is going to even, you're just gonna be like walking past it like, nah, I'm good. I am right where I need to be. When I first started to really, wanting to have that relationship with God, I remember having this on my notebook where it says, when you get what you want, it's God's direction. But when you don't get what you want, it's God's protection. And when I tell you guys, been protecting me a lot from a lot of stuff, I'm pretty sure that's what he does. And he's not going to tell you like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take away this. I'm going to put this, and I'm going to take you here, and I'm going to take you over there. Within the 6-month period, this is going to happen. Imagine if he was to tell us everything like that. I think we would be more in just like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it's better for him to just protect you without you even knowing. I feel like I'm just grateful for it because he knows what he's doing. So it's like, that's a form of trust that you eventually get to be at. So that's the message for today. Remember that God is your rock and he is your protector, as well as your refuge. And you should run to him and run away from evil. And hopefully this word was a blessing to you. I'll see you and catch you on the next video. Bye.
That was awesome, man.